Hello, this is Barry. You're watching Barry and the PI. I want to thank all my subscribers and viewers who watch my video. I do hope that you will hit that uh, subscribe button and hit that little volcano, Mayan volcano, uh, somewhere in the corner there. And you'll be notified every time I put out a new video. So I want to thank y'all. I really do appreciate you watching my videos. Today I'm going to be talking a little more serious uh, topic. That's the Native American community back in the U.S. Um, there are hundreds of different tribes. These were the people that were there before the Europeans moved into what's now the United States. I taught on the Navajo Indian Reservation in northern Arizona. The Navajos are the largest tribe. I think they have over 45,000 members. They were very peace-loving people. They were given a very large reservation, but it's mostly desert. And that's been their reservation for most of their life. And I really enjoyed teaching there. I met one of my best friends, is a Navajo. He was a guidance counselor at the school, Bob Tassini. Hi, Bob, and his family. On the reservation, the school districts provide housing for you. Some housing is pretty good, some not so good. But Bob, we lived in a small little community there. Bob is married. He's an older guy. Not as old as me, but he's an older guy. And I think he's just retired last year. And he and I hit it off real well. I got to know his wife, Arlene. Hi, Arlene. And his three daughters. He had three little girls. Michelle, oh God, I can't believe I don't remember her name. My brain just kind of, stuff comes in and out. But they were very accepting of me and often included me in their different adventures. But let's talk about how the Native Americans have been treated by the outside non-native population as well as the U.S. government. When the Europeans started coming to America, they were accepting of these new people, but also a little leery. At first they gave them land or let them settle on their land. And that's how Thanksgiving started. That the European settlers were having a real tough time of of finding food and growing crops, and the natives came and brought them food, and they shared that, and that is how Thanksgiving Day started. At least that's the official version of everything. As more Europeans came, they wanted more land, and it started pushing out the Native Americans. And that started leading to battles between the two groups. As America grew and they were demanding more land that belonged to the Native Americans. And eventually, and the Native Americans started fighting back, especially as they pushed out to the west. Well, the government comes up, well, we're taking your land, and we're going to give you some more land, but out in the middle of nowhere, out in the deserts, are land that the Native Americans would have a struggle to live on. This was forced. It wasn't an agreement with by the Native Americans. They were forced off their land. And this led to two events, one in the eastern parts of the United States, the Trail of Tears, and another one is called by the Navajo as the Long Walk. And where they were forced to pack up and walk all the way over to the western side of New Mexico. And many people, this was in the winter time, and it gets cold on up that northern Arizona, New Mexico. So a lot of people died, and they were held in a army camp there in New Mexico. But eventually it got settled, and they were able to move back to their reservation, their land. Land is very important to Native Americans. It provides them the sustenance that they need, the food, the things to make their traditional arts. The Navajos are become known as very good weavers. Their rugs by a top weaver who weave these rugs, beautiful rugs. Some of those go for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or more. And they're also very good jewelers. And we would buy jewelry from them, rugs from them. Not the big ones, the small ones. So the Navajo women start at very young age, learning how to weave, and they're very high quality weavers. So one of the places I taught in, the last place I retired from, was in Chinle. Chinle is kind of in the middle of northern Arizona, of the reservation. And there's a national monument there called Canyon de Chelly. And it's a red rock canyon goes for some distance in there. Uh, there's also the scene of a slaughter by the soldiers. All the women and older folks and the children all went to avoid the soldiers. They climbed up this mesa. I think it's called the Spider Rock or something like that. And while the men, the ones that were young enough and able enough to fight, were off trying to do battle with soldiers. Well, the soldiers in that surrounded it and eventually slaughtered everyone on there, just about everybody there. And that's been a thing that's gone on throughout the U.S., particularly in the western states, where last battles were fought. Wounded Knee is one up in South Dakota. But the reservation is a very spiritual place. When Maida came, we would be going somewhere, and she'd be sitting there silent, just watching, looking at the scenery. And I'd say, "What are you doing? Thinking about?" I'm just admiring the beauty. This is totally different from where she came from here in the Philippines. And she grew to love the beauty. We'd go on our trips. Usually every weekend we'd go up to or down to Flagstaff or to the East Gallup, or further east to Farmington, and for grocery stores. Yeah, they had a grocery store chain that was on in the bigger cities on the reservation, but they often had cans that were expired, not the best quality of meats. So we'd go to the larger cities off the reservation to get our groceries and my liquor. So we traveled, Maida got to travel quite a bit around there. Bob is like a brother to me. Super nice guy. And as long as he doesn't drink. Even today, the Native Indians are discriminated against off the reservation. It's very hard to find jobs on the reservation. Unless you're a nurse or a teacher, there's not much for you, or a doctor. And so a lot of them have to go to the big city, but I always miss their home. The reservation is their place for them. And they're very spiritual people. They have ceremonies for everything. You get sick, you go to the tribal medicine man. they often do uh, uh, what, ah, uh, I can't remember. They build a little hut and then heat up some rocks and put them on there, and it causes them to sweat. Sweat lodge, that's what it is. And that cleanses the bad spirits out of them and promotes the good. They do chanting and all in there. Um, so it's so there's a lot of people in America today that mostly Republicans, very conservative people. They don't want their children or any children to learn about the mistreatment and the attempted extermination of the Native Americans. Just like they don't want to be taught about slavery. They don't want to talk about how the Mexican Americans were treated. They want to whitewash our history. And I'm glad I'm not teaching now, because I would have to be battling school districts, school boards about what to teach and not teach. Because I wouldn't put up with it. They're going to get the real history from me, the facts and events of the history, not some whitewashed platitudes about how America is exceptional. Not everything has been good in our history. Our mistreatment of the Japanese during World War II, where they were put in concentration camps, if you ask me. And even though they were Americans, they were just Japanese Americans and couldn't be trusted during the war. So I hope you'll tell your congressmen and women to not let this go on. The real history needs to be taught, or else it keeps being repeated. And I can't believe there are Nazis among our midst who glorify Hitler and want to make America like Germany was during World War II. So let's stop this nonsense of replacement theory and crap, lies. We need to learn to get along with each other, no matter what color of skin you have, no more about what religion you have. Be a little kinder to people. And start get to know your neighbors. The last place I lived in the U.S. was in Austin, and it was an older area. Houses were built in 1970s, but it's very diverse. I had Hispanic Americans lived across from me and next door to me. I had a couple of black Americans living 2 doors down from me, and we all got along. We had no problems. We had older people, we had younger people. That's the way America is supposed to be. Diverse and understanding and kindness to each other. That's the way it is here in the Philippines. Yeah, there's some discrimination. Indigenous groups here are discriminated. Aita and the Dumaguete. But let's just be more accepting of each other. And what I love about the Philippines is that I don't have to worry about some guy with the AK-47 upset that I'm an old guy and decide to shoot me along with everybody else. Or we're just being shot and robbed and shot with a pistol. And people here are very friendly, accepting, helpful. That's what makes the Philippines great. That's why I like living here. And, oh, by the way, we had a high of 82 today, but till just now, the sun's trying to peek through a little bit. It's been overcast. And 85% chance of rain. And we had rain already. I'm glad it didn't rain now. So that's what I had to say. I wanted you to know about Native Americans. Those of you in the U.S., visit the Navajo Reservation. It's right there by Grand Canyon. Oh yeah, one of the things they have to do is that Bob said, when this was Saturday or Sunday, let's go, come on with the family and we're going to pick pinyon nuts. And the pinyon nuts are up there on, at the Grand Canyon, on the way to the Grand Canyon. Now Navajos, one of the good things, at least the government did, is that they allow the Navajos, the native people, to come and pick nuts like that. They allow them entry into the national park, toll-free. No, don't have to pay to get into the national park. So we went and spent Sunday picking pinyon nuts. Pine nuts. Yeah. Pinyon nuts, that's what it's called. So that was a nice trip. Nice day spent with his kids and he and his wife. And so I appreciated that and appreciated his friendship and their friendship. All of his daughters are gone. They graduated from college and now have good jobs and still a happy family. And Bob did have an older son. He wasn't living with them. Brian. Say hi, Brian. So, if you're ever on the reservation, take a look around. See what conditions they have to live in. Problem with health care on the reservation, access to health care, problem of no jobs on the reservation, or very few, problems of contamination by mining companies, particularly uranium on the Navajo reservation. Back in 1950s, when they were rushing to build the nuclear, probably in the 40s and 50s, they allowed a lot of mining companies to come on and dig for uranium. Well, they did, and if they didn't clean up after the demand for uranium dropped, mining companies left it with all that nuclear waste all over the place. And that's another thing that we let the Native American people down and allowed these big corporations to get away with theft. All right, now off my soapbox. Soap opera. Yeah, that wasn't a soap opera. It was a soapbox. Okay. All right. Take care. Stay safe. Take care of your family, your pets, and each other. All right, and see you again soon.